Hello, my children. How have you been? Have you been sleeping well at night? If you find yourself alone on a farm, look out the window at 3 o'clock in the morning. You might see something that shouldn't be there. This is a creepypasta for you. Put on your headphones for a more immersive experience and turn off the lights in your room. I recently bought a farm with the intention of building a house on its 2 hectares of land. However, the weather had other plans. The farm gets flooded, and the harsh winter conditions made construction impossible. Nonetheless, I found peace living in the tranquil farmhouse, amidst the sounds of the wind and rain on the tin roof. The ASMR-like ambience helped me drift off to sleep every night. But one particular night was different. A gentle breeze and light drizzle set in, bringing an eerie silence that prevented me from falling asleep. A neighboring dog's constant barking, presumably at the sheep in the distance, kept me from finding rest. I grew irritated, knowing that I needed sleep to be on time for work the next morning. The dog's barks, though feeble, echoed like a coughing old man, occurring every 3 seconds. I imagined the dog nipping at the heels of the sheep as they walked by, and I took some calming drops to help me sleep. However, I suddenly woke up again. The old shepherd dog was barking once more, but this time with a sense of exhaustion. It was 4 a.m., and I knew sleep wouldn't come easily. Angrily, I prepared my coffee as the dog's incessant barks continued. In a desperate attempt to silence it, I turned on the TV and watched Netflix, hoping that the dog would eventually quiet down. But its barks only increased, as if mocking me. Out of frustration, I opened the window and shouted at the dog to stop its infernal barking. Before I could close the window, I realized I wasn't drunk. There, in the field, I saw something. The dog stopped barking, and I strained my eyes to focus on the figure crouched behind a hay bale. On the opposite corner, the sheep and the dog were also acting strangely. Fear gripped my heart as I thought, is that a person? Trying to be rational, I considered it might be one of the neighboring farmers feeding their animals or kids playing. I tried not to let my brain create irrational theories and felt embarrassed that it took me 30 minutes to examine the scene properly. The dog had stopped barking, which gave me comfort, leading me to believe that everything was fine. The threat seemed to have disappeared, and I could finally get some rest. As the sun rose, the field looked peaceful, with only the sheep and the dog visible. I smiled, chiding myself for allowing an old dog's barking to frighten me. Back in my cozy cabin after work, I laughed at my own foolishness, cooking a simple dinner of pork and sipping tea while watching Netflix. However, a growing unease clawed at me, and I couldn't help but fear hearing the barking again. As the night wore on, the anxiety increased, and I eventually lay down to rest. But something stirred me awake, and I found myself in a panic, as if someone were watching me. The TV provided some comfort, but the sudden darkness only intensified my fear. I looked around my room, examining every corner, but there was nothing. My heart raced with shame and fear. As I gathered my courage, I noticed something outside the window, peering from behind a tree in my backyard, a round head with 2 glowing eyes. Hastily, I closed the window and tried to reassure myself that it was just my imagination playing tricks in the midst of panic. I tried to focus on the TV, convincing myself it was nothing. But the terror grew, and the eyes persisted in my mind. My anxiety soared as I saw those eyes again. I wanted to go to sleep, but my fear held me hostage. The more I stared, the more the creature seemed real. Finally, I summoned the courage to check the window again, and this time, I saw it more clearly, a person with a round, featureless head, a long neck, and eyes that glowed with an unnatural metallic yellow hue. Terrified, I shot 3 bullets through the window, hoping to scare it away. The creature fled, and I believed I had hit it. I called the police to report the incident, but then I realized my phone was inside the cabin. I ran back inside, calling for help, but when I looked out the window, I saw hundreds of reflective eyes staring back at me. I felt surrounded, and my skin crawled as the creature's long, slender fingers grasped me. My heart pounded, and I let out a scream. I should have never looked outside. The terror was real, and there was no escape from it.